Every decade certainly has its trends, and the 2000s were no exception. It seemed like every game company for almost a decade was trying to catch that angsty teenage audience. One recent game in particular is drawing comparisons to that decade of gaming, so I thought it would be fun to do my top 6 of edgy game protagonists from the 2000s era. For this list, I only chose games I've actually beaten, so since I've only ever beaten one God of War game on the PSP, Kratos was not added to the list, because I barely remember the game, but I do recognize he is part of the trend. But to make up for excluding the obvious, I'm going to add one obscure edge character that gets overlooked. Anyways, here are my top 6 gaming edgelords. Number 6 goes to Laharl, a half-demon prince who, after the death of his demon father, tries to reassert his claim as overlord of the underworld. Part visual novel, part 60-hour strategy JRPG with multiple endings. And sucks to be you if you didn't get the canon one. Anyways, the game mostly revolves around Laharl trying to assert his rule over the underworld. Unlike your typical JRPG protagonist, Laharl is bratty, spoiled, selfish, and a complete despot. But that's exactly why people like the character. And of course, he goes through a character arc where he becomes less of an asshole and has to make a sacrifice in order to save someone who has become his friend. But that doesn't stop him from laughing maniacally as he shoves a meteor in your face. For those who wish to conquer hell as its king, this Gaia is the game for you. Just be prepared to take a month to try and beat it.
Bad boy. It seems I'm unfashionably late, but I'm ready to give you everything you want.
Number 5, Bayonetta. Being the only female on this list, and not having the typical personality you would expect of an edgelord, who she fights and how she kills them definitely qualifies her as a edgelord. As the last of the Umbra witches, biblically accurate angels want her dead. With 4 magic pistols and magic hair that can summon demons, Bayonetta brutally slaughters the forces of heaven with the utmost ease. She even fights her father at one point. No matter how big or small you are, you can expect a very violent and brutal death at the hands of Bayonetta, all while she's practically naked. Her snarky yet cheerful attitude, as well as her sexy demeanor, also add to the edge factor, as she seems to take great pleasure in killing angels. Number 4 is that obscure character I mentioned earlier, Scarface, from the game Predator: Concrete Jungle. The Predator, known by humans as Scarface, botched a hunt sometime during the 1920s. 100 years later, he's given a chance to redeem himself and the damage he done by leaving some of his technology behind. This game has you killing gangsters, armed prostitutes, mutants, and even a little cameo appearance from a certain black creature. This game is probably one of the most gruesome stealth action games ever made. The story and the twists, completely bonkers. Yet everything you could ever want from a Predator movie. Being a licensed game, this game will probably never get an official re-release or a port or a remake. If you have an Xbox or a PS2, I recommend scooping this game off eBay. Just a fair warning, the controls are kind of dated, but it wouldn't be much of a stealth game if there wasn't a challenge. The number 3 spot goes to Crypto137, from a game series simply known as Destroy All Humans. Nothing edgy about that. I freaking love Destroy All Humans, especially the second game, which is getting a remake that's releasing next month. And it looks like they aren't censoring it. Nice! These games are a perfect mix of edge and humor, and Crypto himself is a big part of that. His snark, his hatred for humans, and in the second game, his hard-on for humans, the politically incorrect jokes, political humor that's actually funny, not hostile. Destroy All Humans may be the best thing to ever come out of the Edge era, and the fact that it's getting a next-gen remake that isn't going to be censored makes me so happy. God, I can't wait to see my girl again. Number 2 is the character that started the trend in Sonic Adventure 2 and then was affected by the trend itself, as his edge factor was pushed up to 10,000. Shadow the effing Hedgehog, an absolute legend to this day. One cannot simply have a conversation about 2000's Edge and not bring up Shadow or his spin-off game. Sonic Adventure 2 is just one of my favorite games of all time, and the Shadow the Hedgehog game is just a perfect, encapsulation of the trends of that era. I personally don't hate it. I talk more about Shadow's character in my Why Christian Bale Should Play Him video. As of this recording, it's almost at 500 views. Definitely one of my most popular videos since I really started uploading. However, as much of a Shadow fanboy and simp as I am, I could not put him at number 1 on the list. Though this last and final character definitely takes a lot of cues from Shadow, even parts of his backstory.
My name is Alex Mercer. I'm the reason for all of this. They call me a killer, a monster, a terrorist. I'm all of these things.
Alex Mercer from Prototype is basically the culmination of the entire era. I pre-ordered this game not really knowing that much about it, and then I actually played it. Like Shadow in his own game, Alex is a bioengineered weapon with memory and identity issues. He fights both the infected and the government, using either his powers or guns and vehicles. He's even dressed in red and black. All that's missing is a morality system, and it's basically open world Shadow the Hedgehog. And despite the Shadow the Hedgehog game trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink to be edgy, but not going past the T rating, Prototype is a hard M game. You can body surf innocent people, consume grannies. Basically, you can do whatever you want in Prototype and kill whoever you want. Even if you play just focusing on the bad guys, it's probably really tough to go through the game without killing an innocent person. Pretty much, a lot of your powers have AoE effects that are ripe for collateral damage. I hate how the game ends with Alex having a moment of self-reflection, and then how they completely turned him into a complete evil villain in the second game. This right here is why you don't change writers for the sequels. Hey, but now that Microsoft owns Activision, maybe we'll actually get a Prototype 3. Probably right next to Banjo-Kazooie 3. Even so, Prototype and Alex are an absolute gem, and I'm happy to put him at the number 1 spot for the edgiest 2000s gaming protagonist. Who's your favorite character of this era? Let me know in the comments, and please subscribe for more content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.